We're good.
True Life Church, friends, family of True Life Church, Facebook friends of True Life Church, welcome to our second Facebook Live broadcast Sunday deal. This is not the first or second time we've done Facebook Live, but it is the second time we've done Facebook Live in lieu of a Sunday gathering together. So welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Please be sure to share this to your page, right? Is that what they do, Caitlin? Share it to your page. Other friends and family can tune in live and just be part of this experience. As folks are logging in, tuning on, figuring this thing out, I just want to thank God that we all made it through another week. That we all made it through a week of just schedules being twisted and turned upside down. My family has had an interesting week, a fun week in some respects, challenging in others. We had to homeschool our kids starting on Monday, and so just juggling that was a new experience for us. I'll tell you what, mad respect to those of you parents who homeschool your kids on a regular basis. That's challenging. Like, we tried to bust it all out in 2.5 hours every day. We're like, no water breaks, no bathroom breaks, you are finishing this. And then we bust it all out. I'm kidding, we're not that strict about it, but it is a challenge to get through it. And we're exhausted when we're done with it. So mad respect to those of you who do this on a regular basis. We did get to play a lot of backyard soccer and cornhole in the evenings, and that was cool as a family. That was nice to get to spend that extra time together. And grocery shopping is actually, it's fun in a new way. It's like hunting. I don't know if anybody out there experiences that. It's like going to catch something and you don't know if you're going to get it. So it's like when you get home, you're like, look what I caught. I went out to catch this and I actually caught it. Like yesterday morning, I promised the girls I would make them blueberry pancakes, but we needed eggs. We were out of eggs. The last time I had gone to the store, they were out of eggs. So I went out hunting yesterday morning, looking for eggs. One store was out. The second store was closed. Third store was closed. Fourth store I get to, they're out of eggs, but they got egg beaters. I was like, all right, that'll do. I grabbed it. I get home and I'm like, look, everybody, look what I caught. It was like catching a buffalo. I caught egg beaters. It was like I felt like I was a hunter who caught wild game for his family. So I hope you guys are enjoying the adventure that is grocery shopping these days. Speaking of grocery shopping, I want to make sure everybody knows about Allaire Community Farm, which is run by Joanne and Sean Burney, part of our church, members of our church. They run Allaire Community Farm, and they have groceries. They have farm fresh eggs and vegetables and fruit and goat soap and colloidal silver, which fights off viruses, by the way. They have paper towels, and they even have the rare, almost extinct species toilet paper. So Allaire Community Farm, go check them out. Find them on the website, or find their website online, and look at their hours and the list. Support them. Support the local businesses, restaurants, farms among us right now. Another one to support, Shore Fresh, owned by Rich and Amy Brecka. Shore Fresh has 2 locations, Point Pleasant Borough, Point Pleasant Beach. I want to challenge our church community, encourage you guys, get takeout from them this week. I can vouch for the food. It's good. It's actually really good. Get takeout. They've got 2 locations, Shore Fresh, Point Pleasant Borough, Point Pleasant Beach. Look them up. Good food. Again, support these local businesses. I want to thank those of you who supported the pizzeria that I promoted this past week. I don't know those guys. I had just met them, shot a quick little video. They came by the office to give out a flyer. I just felt bad for them. It was Thursday. They had opened on Wednesday in the middle of all this. I posted a quick video, and some of you guys actually went out and got pizza from them. I mean, that blessed me. That would encourage me that y'all went out there to support these guys. Italians, real Italians, you know what I mean? They actually just, came over recently and they opened up a pizzeria and they were stuck in a lease, so they had to open, and you guys went and supported them. I want to thank you for doing that. I'm so encouraged by how you guys are stepping up just to find ways to serve each other. I want to thank you guys who have dropped off gift cards. Some of you guys have dropped off gift cards this past week. Doing a little gift card distribution $25, $50, $75 of gift cards that people are dropping off between 3 and 5 p.m. every weekday. And then those who need it can come and get it. No need to get out of the car. You just drive up. You can call the church office number if nobody's outside. And no need to shake hands, no need to hug or kiss, or all we got to do is run down, throw these things in your car in a paper bag. It looks like a drug deal to neighbors, and that's okay. We just throw it in there, and you drive off. No questions need to be asked. So 3 to 5 p.m. at the church office every weekday. You can either donate if you're able to, or pick one up. We're giving out up to $75 in gift cards per household per week. So if you come by, you get $75, you can come by the following week. That's what we're doing at the moment. And we're also opening it up today. We weren't planning to, but we're opening it up today. April Walters will be here today. So if you need to pick one up, you can swing by today, 3 to 5 p.m. The address for the church office, the phone number for the church office, on our website. Go to the webpage, Corona Update, has all the information there. Just go there, Corona Update, trying to keep everybody updated that way. But again, thank you for those of you who have been stepping up. Thank you for those of you who have given online to our Corona Relief Fund that helps get extra gift cards. It goes to our benevolence ministry so that people who are going to be in need have bills or repairs that they need and may be out of work, may not be able to afford it. That ministry helps support them. There is an application process for that, for those larger types of financial help, but that's what it's there for. We have a team for that purpose. So thank you for those of you who have given to that. This has been our first order of business, is basically finding out who is in financial need right now as a result of everything shutting down. That's been our first order of business. Our life group leaders, our pastoral team have been calling around, getting a feel for who's in need and what can our church community be doing. That's the first order of business. Second priority has been to find creative ways to stay connected to each other through all this. So like we're doing this online today at the church office. We are actually planning to have more elements today, music elements and other things. Primarily music element was the additional thing, but we've been brainstorming all week with technology and how to use technology. And then yesterday, more restrictions were added. The governor gets on and makes, asks more things from New Jersey residents. And so in an effort to be submissive to that and honor that, we've scaled back on what we were planning today. So some people who were planning on being here today went home or stayed home. So we're just constantly looking for ways to be creative. We may in the future, like next week, still do something live, but have a few elements pre-recorded that we share. We've got life group leaders who started meeting online with their groups through things like Zoom, and I'm hearing good reports. Like Rigo and Mandy met with their group. They had 14 people on Zoom meeting. I know Danielle Daber's group did that. I know Rob Allen's group did that. So like this is working, and you guys are leaning into that. You're finding ways to stay connected, and that's encouraging. Keep it up. I know some of you offered to keep it up, keep it up, keep it up. I'm going to transition here, just giving you some updates, Corona updates, but I want to transition here to Caitlin. What do we got going on, by the way?
Hold on 1 second. So, how many of us are on the internet in here? Are you on the internet? Okay. So we might need to get some, just because it's saying video interrupted. So we might need to, we might try. All right, I think we're back up. I might try on my thing.
Disconnected.
Just when I told you. All right. As soon as you finish that sentence.
Get out of here, really?
Mm-hmm. All right, back up. We're good.
Okay, everybody, we had a little technical difficulty here, which is going to be the nature of this for a little bit as we figure things out. Thank you for your patience. We are, we're just, as I said earlier, we're still figuring this out. We're still brainstorming. This is a reason why we may do some pre-recorded elements in the future, but still have a live deal. So Anyway, as people are logging back in or
We're back. We have just as many people as we had before.
see, I don't know how this works. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to transition. Justin Garden is going to be speaking, giving a message in a moment. He is our youth director. He had planned to do the message last Sunday. We scrapped it so I could do a message about the current crisis, and some of you guys have seen that. But now we're going to pick back up and do what we were planning, because this message series goes along with our Lent season. And we don't want to forget that we are in a season of Lent. Lent is a time when the church has historically focused on and reflected on the sacrifice of Jesus, the suffering of our Messiah, and our call as his people to die to ourselves, to pick up our cross and follow him. And just reflecting on what does that mean. So we've had a Bible reading plan that started this past Monday. Many of you guys have been reading along. Some of you have written blog posts that we've been posting in the mornings. We have a fasting plan. We have people fasting on Thursdays. We good? Okay. Yeah. Close to 40 people signed up to fast on Thursdays, which was so encouraging to me. I don't know who else is doing it, but 40 people, close to 40, signed up to do it. So we had different text groups going, and that's just so encouraging that people are saying to food, no, I'm going to put this aside. I'm going to channel my physical hunger into a hunger for God. As much as I'm hungry for food right now, God, I want to be hungry for you. As dependent as I am on food for physical strength, Lord, I am more dependent on you for spiritual strength and wisdom during this time especially. And so I've been so encouraged. If you want to join us in that, go to our website. There's a link you can sign up to fast along with us. But the other element that we had for this season was a message series. A message series called Love Yourself by Dying to Yourself. Y'all can see that screen. Love yourself by dying to yourself. See, Jesus has told us, pick up your cross and follow me. Whoever loves their life will lose it. Things like that. And then culture is telling us, be sure to love yourself. Make sure you do self-care. And the question is, are these two ideas opposing to each other? If so, how? What do we do about that? If not, how do we reconcile that? Some lean on this side and say, well, you love yourself first and you take care of yourself first, and then after that, you can make sacrifices for Jesus. Others push against that completely and say, no, God says that we're called to be holy, not happy, just focus on being holy and obedient and not happy. And then others still think that it's a balance. Well, a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and let me just have a balanced life. I say no to all three of those things. I think the call of Jesus is a life of joy and fulfillment, but it comes through dying to self. In other words, Jesus calls us to be holy and happy, and you cannot separate the two. Holiness and happiness, true happiness, is found interwoven with holiness. And so that's what this series is about. How true joy, Jesus said, I want my joy to be in you, and I want your joy to be full. He told us, blessed are those who mourn, blessed are those who are persecuted. He wants us to be motivated to have a blessed life and to want joy. It's just that the pathway to getting there is different than what the world usually tells us is the path. And that pathway is dying to yourself. And so that's what these few messages are going to be about. So Justin is willing to kick us off in a new series, do the first message of a new series, his first message for True Life, and doing it online, which is really awkward. So I'm so encouraged that he's willing to, okay, I'll try it. Pastor Rigo's going to go next week. He actually changed his message because of the current crisis. He's going to be doing it on anxiety, dying to fear. So that's something to look forward to next week. But let me just pray for Justin and this message, and I'll turn it over to him. So Lord Jesus, I pray that we don't have any more technology issues. I pray for the families and friends of families and our community who are watching, God, as fun as it is to see each other chiming in and giving comments, I pray that we would all actually have hearts that are expectant to hear from you. This is not just a way to stay connected to each other. It's a way for us, I believe, to hear from you through your word. And I pray that all of us would get something from you through Justin's message. So I pray for Justin, pray for the words that you want him to share with us, that they would come out. And I just pray that you would put a fire in his belly, believing that what you have put on his heart is a timely word for all of us. It's in your name I pray. Amen. All right, everybody. Here's Justin.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Chris. That was really, really awesome. I was enjoying a lot of the things you said. One of the things that you had talked about earlier was how you felt like you were on a hunt to go after and to catch something. And I was like, I hope he's not talking about the coronavirus. And then he elaborated a little bit more, talking about the eggs and the food that he was looking for. So I was like, oh, all right, good. I miss seeing all of your faces. I miss the Sunday mornings that we get to share together at True Life Church at the Brick Memorial High School. I miss sharing bagels with you guys, drinking coffee, cleaning up coffee spills in the auditorium, and just having fun together, praising God, and living life. So it's been a really interesting time, like Chris already alluded to. There are things going on in the culture that have changed things nationally. It has changed things locally, and Chris talked about it. My family and I, we are feeling the pressures in our home. This past week in particular has just been nuts. Homeschooling, trying to work remotely, not sure if we're going to be working remotely. And my wife and I, we've had to communicate a lot. At the end of this week, I was like, whew, I think we did all right. But there were times in there where we were challenging each other and frustrated, and I don't know that it was necessarily because we were mad at each other, but more so just frustrated with the situation. It's been flipped upside down, and we're learning. And I know that you are all right there with us. And you're on my heart, you're on Pastor Chris's heart, the pastoral team, we're praying for all of you, and I am looking forward to a day when we can gather again in person, face to face, where we can hug and be the touchy-feely, warm church that we have always been. However, what that means for right now, we have technology, and what a blessing. What a blessing it is that we have this, that we can connect. Even though I can't see you all right now, I have the memories that I've gathered over the last year that I can, think back to times that we were hanging out, praying together, in community together. And it's just really exciting to be here this morning. So as Chris talked about, we're going to be talking about dying to ourselves, okay? I titled my message, A Lively Death. Now this may not make 100% of sense right now, but it will a little bit later, you'll see, all right? And before we get rolling this morning, I just want to be really transparent with you. We're going to talk a little bit, no, that's not true. We're going to talk a lot about pride, this thing called pride. And for you at home, I'm going to define it. I'm going to create a common ground for us that we can all say, hey, you know what? This is what pride is. This is how we're going to define it today, and this is what it looks like. So, pride is attempting to live life apart from God. I'll say that one more time. Pride is attempting to live our lives apart from God. Regardless of our religious belief, our political leanings, and our general convictions in life, this definition of pride accurately applies to all of us. Whether we're in the church, we're not in the church, we believe in Jesus, we don't believe in Jesus, it's super accurate. Pride is attempting to live life apart from God. And this pride, it comes at the very beginning. We're born into this world, and it's not something that we have to learn how to do. It's actually something that we're really good at. It comes naturally. We are really good at seeking to live independently, independent lives apart from God. Take, for example, young children. even if you don't have kids, you'll understand this. If you watch young children, they are so about themselves. It is me, wah, wah, wah. I want this, I want that, I can do it, I got it. It's just natural. And we see it. It's so clear. It's so magnified in young children. And if they're not taught differently, well, those young children, they grow up, and that pride follows them throughout their lives. That was my experience. So living for me, attempting to live my life apart from God, well, it came quite naturally. I was always in charge. Again, that me-centric kind of living. I was attempting at every twist and turn in life to exert my independence from God at the time, even though I didn't have an upbringing where God was a part of my reality at that time. Looking back in hindsight, I was definitely living apart from him. Attempting to exert that by living apart from my parents' wishes, the people that God had put into my life to kind of guide me and teach me. It was like, no, I got it. And the decisions that I made were ultimately to benefit me. Life was about Justin. You see, I'm not alone here, though. We all struggle with pride, even in the most subtle of ways. For instance, when it comes to like our purpose and what we want to achieve here on earth, pride is often at the root. Take, for instance, maybe this will sound familiar, I need to get these grades, okay? So that I can get into this school, so that I can get this job, be situated at this job, so I can earn this amount of money, so I can ultimately acquire the type of life that I want. And all along the way, there's control and self-management. I know for me and most of our culture, there's this busyness that just takes over and hustling after those things. That word alone that I just used, hustle, I don't have to define it for you. We all know what it means. It's this prideful arrogance, attempting to live apart from God and chasing after our own lives, trying to cling for things, grab at things that we really desire and want. This is what we do. We live for ourselves and apart from God. And no one is telling us to stop. No one's telling us to stop. They are actually encouraging us. So I found a few of these memes online. The first one I'm going to read for you, it's going to be a little bit hard for you to see. And I feel like they really, really paint a really good picture of what I'm talking about here. Remember, our culture is encouraging us to live apart from God. This one says, note to self, this is your journey, your body, your mind, and your spirit. Dig deep, own it, start doing things for you and by you, right? Okay, let's see the next one. Put yourself at the top of your to-do list every day, and the rest will fall into place. Well, it'll fall somewhere. We'll get there in a moment. And here's the last one. Self-love is the greatest middle finger of all time. So as you can see, our culture is not encouraging us to live differently. They're actually encouraging us to live for ourselves, to live an apart life from God. See, this way of attempting to live life had ultimately taken its toll on me. The result of the pride life that I was living, attempting to be apart from God, being busy, chasing after this life that I wanted, it led to really, really awful relationships around me. I was in fights regularly at school. I was at fights at home with my family, and I didn't understand why, because me living for me, I honestly had a desire for a good life. I had a desire to live a good life, but my best efforts in attempting to achieve that by myself were not getting me there. Instead, what I got was crippling insecurity. I had no security, none whatsoever in high school. It was false pride, false confidence. I had crippling insecurity all throughout high school, middle school. I had a deep depression that would chase me around, definitely in the later parts of the day. Overwhelming stress and anxiety from trying to control and manage my life and be busy all the time were friends of mine. I knew them well, stress and anxiety. And like I already talked about, there were broken relationships all around me. And I really desperately wanted to have good relationships with people. I wanted them to be healthy. I didn't want to be in conflict with people I love, my mom, my dad, my brother, my extended family, the people in whom I called my friends back then. I did not want to have conflict in those relationships, but I had conflict in every single one. And I'm not talking about the healthy parts of conflict. I'm talking about there were toxic pieces in every single one of those relationships. So being deeply depressed, super insecure, having stress and anxiety from attempting to live my life apart from God, it ultimately led to me seeking false comfort in toxic relationships and in drugs and alcohol. And all throughout high school, it was progressive for me, my alcohol and drug use. I was trying to self-medicate the way that I was feeling. Again, I didn't feel good, and it didn't make sense to me because I was, in my mind, trying to chase after things that would make me feel good. Like, well, okay, if I position myself this way, if I get after this, if I get this job, these friends, I'm going to be good. I'll have a good life. I'll feel good. I found out differently. Sitting in that place of using drugs and alcohol, that getting progressive, in as shortest time as any, I literally did not want to live anymore. Now, I'm not talking about I'm willing to do something different. I physically didn't want to live. Death was more desirable to me than to continue in the way that I was going. I remember very vividly my senior year. At this point, my parents were asking me, if I needed help with the drug problem that I had stepped into, that had been affecting me, and for a long time I was pushing them away. I would remember going to sleep at night during my senior year in the fetal position, just crying because I was so overwhelmed with where things had gotten for me. My best didn't lead to good things. The best that I had to bring, the very things that I thought were going to build me up and set me up, it didn't work that way. I was in an immovable place, and I said to my parents, I think I'm ready. I have a problem. For many of us, the story, I would say for all of us, not many, all of us, the story is exactly the same. Some of the chapters, they may be different, but the story, in essence, is the same story. When we live our lives focused on self, attempting to live apart from God, we will find that insecurity, depression, and stress and anxiety, they all tend to creep in. Imagine this for a moment. You're throwing a party, all right? This party, let's say it represents life. It's at your house. You're throwing a party. Things are great, so you think. And all of a sudden, at the door, a few uninvited guests show up. Who are these guests? Depression, insecurity, stress, anxiety. They show up uninvited. It's bad enough that they show up uninvited, but all of a sudden, they start wrecking the place. It's bad enough that they show up uninvited, but they come into your home and they start making a mess. Start busting down walls, breaking things, stealing things. It is chaos. It is chaos. And if you're like me, you stand here like, who invited these people? Well, we did. We let them in. We let them in. I started out wanting life, like I've told you already. Life to the fullest. I was gonna get it. I was gonna get there. I was gonna make it happen. But to my unwanted surprise, life is not what I got. See, this isn't just my story, this is our story. This is our story. We don't end up getting what we thought we signed up for. What we actually wind up getting is we wind up getting a bad deal. I'm sure you're already, if you're tracking along, you're aware of this. We're getting a bad deal. Excuse me. We're getting a bad deal. The way of pride is a bad deal. The way of self, it's no good. It doesn't work out. It may appear to for a brief period of time, but it does not work out. It didn't work out in my life. Many that I know that I'm close with, it doesn't work out in their lives. And if I try to, manage things, it still doesn't work out. It just doesn't work out. It hasn't worked out for me. I'm getting a bad deal and setting out to live my life apart from God and to take things into my own control and to be busy about getting after the things that I want and desire. So being convinced that we get ourselves into some serious trouble when we attempt to live our life apart from God, I'm sure, like I asked, many of you are asking, well, then what are we to do? What are we to do? Seems like a pretty hopeless situation. Chris laid mention to it a little bit before, that Jesus calls us to something very different. It is very peculiar, and along with today's message, you may even be scratching your head when I share this with you. Jesus is calling us to die. The solution, what we're to do, is to die. Now, again, like I said, I'm aware it doesn't make much sense. If the pride life that I've been talking so much about results in death, then why would I die? Why does that make sense? I've been dead. I've been living in death. Well, you see, that's just it. That's what Jesus is calling you to die to. It is that self-life, that pride life. He is inviting you to lay that life down. The self-life, the one that leads to death. Take a look real quick at what Jesus said to some of his followers in Matthew chapter 10, verse 39. If you cling to your life, you will lose it. But if you give up your life for me, you will find it. See that first part there? If you cling to your life, you will lose it. But if you give up your life for me, you will find it. I have another translation that I wanted to share with you this morning. I think some of the wording in it fits nicely with today's message. It's the Passion Translation. And here it is. All who seek to live apart from me will lose it all. But those who let go of their lives for my sake and surrender it all to me will discover true life. I'm going to read that one more time. All who seek to live apart from me will lose it all. But those who let go of their lives for my sake and surrender it to me will discover true life. See, Jesus knew that the way of self, the pride life, it doesn't lead to good things. We cling after it. We cling after life, like the last translation said, we lose it. This translation, the Passion Translation, we seek to live apart from God, we lose it all. Okay? Jesus knew this. And it's why he offers us something different. You see, Jesus calling us to die is actually an invitation to live. I'm going to say that again. This is really important. It's super important that you catch this. Our call to die, Jesus calling us to die, is actually an invitation to live. True life is found when we lay down our lives to the source of all life. I didn't quite understand this until about 6 years ago when I surrendered my life to Jesus once and for all. At that time, I was 5 years sober from drugs and alcohol, And I had grown up a lot in comparison to the young man that I had been prior. However, pride was still very much present in my life. And it had all the same consequences. Remember, death, insecurity, depression, stress, and anxiety. Just put that into the category of death. Those things feel like death. They don't feel good. I was sober, and that was good. It was really good. Like I said, things had changed. But new layers of anger and depression were beginning to crop up and be exposed. Late one night, I was sitting at my mother's house where I was living at the time. I had a bedroom there. And I was sitting in my bedroom, again, late, and I was reading a Bible. This one, the one that we actually offer at our church. It's a New Believer's Bible. I was reading this exact one right here. And I was writing in this journal that I brought. This journal. Writing, praying, unsure of kind of what this spiritual life meant. But Jesus met me that night. He met me in the brokenness that my pride life had afforded me. He wasn't disappointed with me for living for myself and attempting to live apart from him. I didn't sense that from him. He wasn't mad or disgusted at me. Instead, like I said, he met me in that place. The brokenness, the death that I was experiencing as a result of my pride life. And he wanted to give me life. He wanted to give me true life. What I had always desired from the beginning, but I wasn't getting. That's what he wanted to give me. But in order for me to live, it meant that I, Justin, had to die. I had to become no more. John the Baptist, Jesus' cousin, he understood this. He said, he must increase, I must decrease. I had to die. I had to die so that Christ may live in me, so that I can experience true life. Contemplating that, praying through that, writing about that, I'm going to share a quick something from my journal that night that I wrote. I don't know if this is prior to that night, me giving my life to Christ, or after, but it's a really interesting 2 sentences. It says, I don't know that I've ever felt so alive. So I'm going to guess that it was probably after I gave my life to him. But this has been the most difficult time of my life. I was in such a place that was so dark and desperate and broken. But Jesus met me there. He met me there. And you see, Jesus is the source of life itself. That night, I died. And I've been alive ever since. Immediately, I felt newness of life flowing from within. The depression and anger and stress and anxiety, all these things began to pale in the comparison to this Jesus. I had been taken from death unto life. There was new life flowing in me. See, but here's the thing. As great and amazing as that night was, the ultimate surrender, the once and for all moment of giving up of myself so that I can grab hold of Christ, as amazing and as transformative as that was, there's also this call to die daily. So then I died to myself once and for all so that I can live in Christ. But there's also a call for me to die every day, moment to moment. Because here's the thing, pride is so stinking sneaky. It tries to just crop up again. And it's familiar. Like I said earlier on in the message, we don't have to think about it. We just naturally are good at it. It's something that we're born with. I still struggle with pride and need to put it to death on a regular basis. After giving my life to Jesus, even after giving my life to him, there is still this temptation to do it by myself, to be super busy, to hustle hard. I'm going to get this job, remember before, so I can get these things and this type of life that I want. There's still the temptation to do that. And sometimes I get walking down that path. Stress and anxiety still tend to pop up regularly in my life. And that quicksand of depression tries to seek me out. But here's the thing. When depression tries to creep in, I am able to rest in the Prince of Peace, the one in whom I find true life and comfort for my soul. That wasn't there before. I have access to him today. We all do. Today, when I feel pride start to crop up, instead of turning to myself, which is, again, what I was always doing, I turn to Jesus. Jesus is the source of life. Not us. Not us. Life is not found in ourselves. It's found in Jesus. He is such a good God. He has been so faithful in providing life continually, even in my stumbling, even in my, like I just talked about, when pride begins to crop up, and maybe I walk in it for a little bit. He's that same Jesus I met 6 years ago. He's not disappointed or angry with me. He desires me to come to him so that I can live. He doesn't want death for us. He doesn't want that. We don't want that. He does not want that for us. But in order for us to live, we need to die and live in him. So that means a couple different things for a few of us this morning. Many of us. I've put us into two separate categories. Our call to action. What do we do from here? Yes, Justin, I've connected with the message this morning. God is speaking to me. Where do I go? Well, I think that there's many of you listening in today that may have never laid down your pride life. Maybe you've never given your life to Jesus before. Maybe you're still hustling, chasing after the kind of life that you want, getting all the results that I spoke about today. And for you, I believe that God is calling you to lay down your life once and for all, to see him as the source of true life, and to understand that life is not found in the way that you're living, but it's found in him. I believe that he's calling you today to give your life to him. Lay down yours so that you could pick up true life that's found in Jesus. Then, I think that there's this other group. This other group that, you've recognized at a point in your life, like I did 6 years ago, that Jesus, you are the Lord of my life. I understand that life is found in you. Maybe you've given your life to him already. But, like me, oftentimes over this past year, you've forgotten that we're called to die daily. And at times you find that you might be trying to live apart from God once again. The same invitation to die is extended to you. Lay it back down today. All the craziness that's going on right now with this virus and stirring in our community, in our nation, what I've found for me is that my pride has been magnified at home. My schedule is just, like I said, flipped upside down. And it is, again, so easy, so natural for me to just try to live apart from God because I got to manage things now and to figure out and to get things back on track. I got to take care of this. When in reality, my call is to die daily, and in the way that I should be doing that, and that I have been stepping back into that this week, is by prayer. Praying, God, I need you in this time. I can't do it. Remembering that if I try to run ahead of you, if I try to live apart from you, there's no good results there. Lord, please help me. Help my family and I. And there's been such a temptation to jump back into pride over the last couple of weeks, to run off and do my own thing. So before I close this morning, I would just like to pray for those two groups. The once and for all is that, hey, you got to give your life to Jesus, and you recognize that the source of life is found in him. And I want to pray too for those of us that, you know what, we need to lay it down daily. We have to die to ourselves daily. Maybe this morning it's a recommitting. God, yes. So I'm going to close this in prayer. I'm going to pray for both of those groups. My encouragement to you during this time would be to join me, okay? So what does joining me look like if you're the second group, allow your heart posture at home to be that. And I will pray for us. God is with us right now. He knows your heart better than you do. So we're going to have a moment with God right now. All right? So everybody, go ahead and close your eyes. Bow your heads. God, I thank you so much for the love that you have for us, in that you extend life to us. God, I pray for those of us today who have never said, Jesus, you are life, and I want you. Lord, I pray for those today that you would see their hearts, that you would see that they have a desire to lay down their lives, to die to themselves so that they can know you. God, and I pray that you would fill them with your Holy Spirit, and that they would experience newness of life and victory over things like depression, stress, anxiety, the debt that we accumulate by trying to live apart from you. And Lord, I pray for my friends that, like me, have been, stumbling through life a bit, and maybe have see pride cropping up in areas. Lord, I pray that you would give them the power through your Holy Spirit to once again lay down their life right now, continually, day by day, throughout these difficult times with the virus and all these changes, Lord. I pray that they would have a heart posture about them to continually remember that life is found in you, Jesus. In order for your life to continue to flow through us, we need to continue to die daily. God, I pray specifically for our local community, that you would be high and lifted up in our homes, in our hearts, in our church, in our local community. Lord, I pray that you would use this time to draw others that don't know you yet into yourself. And God, I pray that you would fill us with wisdom and discernment for how we can be the church in this time. Lord, as one body today, we recognize together that you are the source of true life. We thank you for that gift. We thank you for your love. And we pray this all in your name, Jesus. Amen. All right.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you for watching at home. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for chiming in. I just want to say, if you're one of those people who said, yes, it's time for me to die to myself once and for all. It happened for me when I was 19. I said, Lord, all right, I'm ready to give my life to you. If you're one of those people and you want to talk to someone in our church, you can message us and we'll get that and we'll connect with you. And if you're somebody who's just like, man, all the new changes, all the new routines and the schedules and not being able to get toilet paper when I want to get toilet paper and I need to die to myself daily. If you're just like, I could use some extra prayer, you can message us as well. Let's see. We're going to keep you in mind this week. We're going to keep you in prayer this week. Remember everything I said at the beginning? You can re-watch this. If you missed some of the announcements and the updates about what we're doing in our church and the whole gift card thing and all that, you can re-watch this. This will be on our Facebook. This will be on our website. Again, Pastor Rigo will be doing a message next week about dying to fear and anxiety, right? Another thing that steals from us our life, steals from us our joy and peace, and how Jesus says, put that to death, live in me, experience the true life I want you to live. Until then, or until our next online deal, which may be midweek, who knows? That's it. God bless everybody. Have a good one.